See the drawing. Oh, I got it. Push. Got it. Got it. Hi.
Hello, Julia. Are we live, do you think?
It looks like we're live. I can double check on my phone just to make sure we are live. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. I have to take it out here.
Julia. Okay.
We're definitely live. I see it. I can share it on my page.
Okay. I'm sorry. That was probably me with the double stuff.
I don't know. I thought I had my sound down, but if I didn't, I apologize.
No, that was probably somewhere on my end. So I apologize. So what are you going to be painting or drawing?
I'm working on this Hurrem Sultan drawing still. So I actually abandoned it for a very long time. Well, the first one got destroyed, sort of like something got written on it. And so I just transferred it to a new piece of paper. I cut it out. And then because another part of it, it's had a very interesting history of I didn't want to spill things on it, but somebody spilled things on it and drew on it. Poor thing. But I still want to salvage it. So I transferred it and now it looks kind of three-dimensional. So it kind of worked out.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, because I cut it out and I put it on this. So I'm going to call it three-dimensional. I did this before with a palm tree one time where I cut out a palm tree and then I painted it and it kind of had a three-dimensional effect. So I think it'll be interesting when it's done. But I'm going to try and share us on Facebook. Did you want to share what you're going to be painting?
Oh, I'm just going to paint a lady from a magazine because this is just practice. I'm doing this on my sketchbook rather than on a canvas panel or other kind of canvas thing. And what I found is I just enjoy painting, but I don't want to turn every little painting into something on my wall, you know?
Exactly. I totally understand. It can take up a lot of space. That's one thing I've been noticing because I don't live in a big apartment. I'm like, I want to put more things up, but I'm running out of space already.
Yeah. So I did put some things up in my laundry room. It's kind of like an art gallery now.
That's cool. So it might inspire you to want to do laundry because you could be like, oh, I can go out and look at nice things.
Yes.
I always try to think what would
Go ahead.
Make me want to do something that might motivate me or entice me.
Oh, yeah. I even cleared out some of my garage. I threw away things. And I'm thinking maybe eventually I'll move a lot of my art to the garage. So.
Oh, you could start a little, you used to paint out in your barn, right? Or your garage at one time?
Yeah, I did in the barn, but that's kind of far away from the house. And I need to stay close to Bo. So.
I totally understand. It's not practical per se.
Yeah. But this is nice doing it on paper because I don't have to soak the paper in a lot of paint. So I actually use less paint this way too.
Ooh, that's a good tip, I think. If you want to conserve your paint.
Right.
I kind of like that idea that you have of using the tripod because I wanted to look at a drawing of Hurrem Sultan, and I was trying to use my phone, so I thought maybe it was just my thought I can use this. And this tripod's kind of cool because I guess it has a tablet feature and it has a phone feature. So I could actually use the tablet feature to put my phone here if I want to, I'm not filming just to look at it. And you gave me that idea because I saw how you've been using all your tripods. So I started thinking I have to use my tripods more.
Yeah, I even got a tripod from my mother for her birthday. Now she is not painting right now. She did paint at one time. But just so she wouldn't get tired of holding the telephone, when she's talking to me on FaceTime, we have long conversations. She likes to sit on the sofa. So now she doesn't have to touch the phone and she can talk to me.
Smart. I really love the tool tripod idea. I was gonna ask you, earpods, like, do you like those things? Because I don't like them, like for making calls without touching the phone.
Oh, no, I don't like those. I don't like things in my ears.
Yeah, I don't either. So I feel a little silly, but I was talked into purchasing some when I got my phone, and they're horrible. So I'm just gonna sell them, I guess.
Yeah, no, I really don't have a situation where I have to be quiet for anyone around here. So, yeah, I don't do that.
The only reason I thought was because people told me, "Oh, it's so great! Like you could do stuff while you're talking," and I'm like, I don't know. My ears were just. I felt like my ears were gonna ring. I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't like to put things in my ears. I think that could cause infections down the line. And
I feel like
uh,
it could cause hearing loss as well, but maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, well, it could if you make it too loud. That's true. But I mean, even if you're not making it too loud, having something inside your ear, you have to either clean it all the time or you're going to end up getting an infection.
That's a good point.
And if you do clean it, you're going to use some substance that you might have an allergy to. So either way, it's not good.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Let's see what I'm doing, I guess. Do. I like how I made it 3D. That looks kind of silly. I was almost thinking maybe I should have tried to do the live stream via my phone or something. So maybe I would have got a better angle of what I'm doing. Kind of like what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to do it.
I think next time maybe I'll try that. But
Okay.
today we're set up as we are, and then I can just focus on what I'm drawing as opposed to just me.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish that the window for what I'm painting were larger, than the window of just me.
I was gonna, yeah, what I was gonna say was, I've been noticing that StreamYard now is recommending, and I never saw this message on StreamYard before, but now they're recommending that you have two screens. Have you seen that message when you log into StreamYard lately?
No, because I never log out of StreamYard. I'll tell you the truth. I'm lazy.
It's actually smart. I used to log out of things, and I guess I don't really have to anymore because I was always afraid somebody might go in and do stuff.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. But they did say something about how I can put together a team. So if I did put a team together, you would be on my team.
That's kind of neat. And I feel like they're trying to be more competitive with Zoom, I guess. Is that their rationale? Like, so businesses and teams, like,
Yeah, the thing is they want people to pay for it, and I'm not paying for StreamYard.
no, we shouldn't have to pay for it. I've heard the thing with StreamYard is if you use it for more than 20 hours per month, then you have to go to a paid plan. But I've never used StreamYard for more than 20 hours of streaming in a month. I've never done that. So
Yeah, I mean, I do eventually want to go to OBS once I figure out how to do it with two screens. But
I
yeah, I
was
think
kind of
go ahead.
thinking about what you said yesterday with that. I guess I should try that again, maybe with my laptop and OBS.
Well, I'm just thinking that I do have a TV set that I could hook up to it. And so I wouldn't actually have to go out and buy me another screen.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't. You don't. And another reason I was thinking about that is because I was thinking back when I first tried it that way, I was using that other version of OBS, which isn't the open source one. It's just like this company that has OBS like download. It was like OBS Streamlabs, but OBS itself is actually better than OBS Streamlabs, is what I figured out. Because I'm
That's
like,
true.
yeah, it was
Yep.
really bad like that first week I was using. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this thing?
Yeah, so I still enjoy painting. I just don't really think I want to, have a new canvas every week.
And I don't think you should have to. I mean, look at a lot of artists, they would take their sketchbook with them places like when they paint and draw. So it's something a lot of artists do.
Yeah.
And then what was that the other thing? Oh yeah, some of them, the big thing for a while, but I thought it was a little too stylistic in my opinion. Like some people were just being too stylistic with it. Like instead of just having like a working sketch pad or working, painting sketch pad, they were like making it real stylistic and saying like it's art journals, and it just seemed like,
Oh, yeah. That's the latest fashion trend is those art journals. Now, I used to keep a journal in which I would, is basically like a diary when I was younger. And
mhm.
sometimes I would also draw in it, illustrating my story. But
Oh,
I don't see the point of having an art journal because, you're not always drawing whatever it is that's happening around you. You want to draw whatever you want to draw, right?
that's what I thought. And the first time, it was interesting. Like I think it was 2008 that somebody was recommending that I join this art journal challenge. I was back before, I mean, MySpace was a thing, but people just went there occasionally. It wasn't like Facebook is now, and it wasn't like as big as social media is. And this was just an independent site, but get this, it was like an ad almost because they wanted you to buy this art journal so everybody could participate in the challenge. So I was like, is that an ad for the art journal? It was just kind of funny.
Yeah, they play these games with us, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's clever marketing on their end. Like, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to some marketing, like if it's for art supplies or crafts, like it doesn't really, it's fine. Like, I feel like, well, those, I kind of like, I have a lot of art site supplies and crafts, so maybe I fall for a lot of the marketing for it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy going to like Hobby Lobby and seeing what they have, but I'm not going to buy everything just because it looks nice when I know I'm not going to use it all. So,
I have used like most of my craft stuff, but here's the thing, like I need to actually use it up before I buy more because I was in the habit of, oh, I want to do this one project and then I'll do one of it and I still have a whole bunch of it left. So that's the only thing. Like I do like cross stitch, don't get me wrong, but I actually have a cross stitch. I made it for my sister, but she never finished it. So I'm gonna finish it. It's of an American flag. I actually designed the whole thing, and then I actually started cross stitching it for her. Did I ever show it to you?
uh,
That flag, I think that I did.
oh, the flag. Yes, I
Yeah, yeah,
think you
yeah.
did. Yeah.
I'm gonna try and finish it. It's a lot of work. Like that's why you have to sit there and really go at it. So that's all. That's why I haven't finished it.
Well, you can't take on too many projects. It's just impossible. And that's why we have to limit ourselves. That's why some people limit themselves to maybe only writing and not, drawing and so forth. Not because they can't draw or whatever, but just because they want to get really good at one thing.
I totally understand. I probably a few years ago, I think I had that project overload because when I was writing for examiner.com, and even before that, I wanted my niche to be like art projects and crafts, and I would be doing multiple ones and working and writing about it. And then it was just a little too much, I think. I think I was taking on too many things. And so
Yeah,
yeah, I've slowed down since then for sure.
yeah. And the reason I allowed myself to, pick up art is because I realized that at least for the time being, I'm not going to be writing a lot. So it's just a good thing for me to do.
I really do like creating. I do like crafting, like drawing, like I love the visual arts. And I think I enjoy blogging and YouTube, but I used to think, oh, writing a book would be interesting, but I kind of thought about it along the way. I'm like, I don't really visualize myself as a writer after that process. Like, I don't think I'm somebody that would want to publish a book after I went through writing that story because I thought, well, there's a lot of different things you have to have in a story to make it readable or comprehensible to others or enjoyable to others. And what I was told, that little story I wrote was like, it's so boring. Like, what are they doing? They are doing nothing. I am bored. That was the reaction I got.
Well, plot is one element of storytelling. Another element, of course, is characterization. Some stories are plot heavy, and others are more characterization driven.
I mean, that's a possibility. I just, after writing that story and considering it and pondering it, there was another kind of story I actually thought about writing, but I can't really write that. I could write it, but I can't write it. It is something I've thought about. Like, it's just not something I'm ready to write yet, if that makes any sense. Like, but if I really wanted to be a writer, I think it would be an interesting story. That's all.
Well, some stories are based on our experiences, and others don't have to be at all based on experience. Certainly not our own. They can just be our imagination.
That's true. I mean, it's a fictional idea, but I just don't. I don't think I'm the person to write it. If that makes, I'm kind of just like doing art. I guess that's what I was trying to say. Like after that little experience of thinking,
Uh-huh.
oh, I thought I liked the idea of being a writer, but I feel like somebody like you is a writer who actually like develops a plot and has an interesting story. And I really like the classical elements in your novels. Like I feel like a lot of novels lack that today because they're very meandering. And there's a lot of really bad novels. I will tell you that. I've read so many bad novels. In fact, I stopped reading novels almost completely because of it. Did I ever tell you about that?
No, when did you stop?
I mean, I still read historical texts. Like right now, I'm reading the biography of Haley Mills, and I read biographies. I'll read historical texts. But about 5 years ago, I used to get a lot of advanced copies, and I read so many novels, mostly historical fiction. Some of it was regular. It just got really bad. Like I felt like I was reading so many really self-entitled fiction stories that, like, there was one. What was it called? Like Drawing by Life, something like that, or The Love Canoe. It was just really horrible. It was about this woman who moved to the country because she had had an affair on her husband because he was kind of boring and he bored her. So she had an affair, and the whole story was about when she was having the affair, her painting was so good because she felt energized and charged. And then she kind of hurt him. So they had to move to the country. And then they were living like I think in Connecticut or something out in the country, and this like 17-year-old girl was their neighbor. So she started like enticing her husband. And even though she didn't like it, she goes, well, I kind of have to let the neighbor girl do that because he needs to get his revenge on me for the affair. And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. And then like, I mean, I don't think you'll ever read this. It culminated in that, okay, the husband didn't really want to have the affair with the girl because she's young, like she's 17, 18,
Oh
like
my goodness.
he didn't feel like he had much in common with her. So he
Uh-huh.
was kind of getting like disenchanted, and she was kind of pushing herself on him. So the girl went and told her father about it, and her father was mad that this guy didn't want to have an affair with her or leave his wife, so he came out and shot him. And it
What?
was weird. And then like this book was praised, and at the end, like the neighbor girl's mom comes over and she goes, I'm so sorry about what happened. And the painter lady's like, you can't make it up to me. And this book was like praised. I think that was one of the last novels I read, because I'm like, I've read a lot of novels lately, and that just kind of took the cake for me. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it got a lot of praise, and people were saying it was really good. And I was like, it was really depressing and odd. I didn't enjoy that story. That's all I want to say.
Okay, well, I'm on a hiatus from writing them, not because I don't like to write them or because I don't see myself as a writer, but just because I am at a loss at how to get people to actually read them.
I think it's just we need to have more exposure. But I was gonna say I really like what you're painting. That's
Thank
interesting. I
you.
like her features.
Well, it's just one of those fashion magazine models. They're nice.
They have
And
beautiful features.
yes. And in a way, I feel like the more I add, the worse, the the worse it is. So I don't really know sometimes when to stop painting. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying. Like sometimes you'd be like, if you add too much, it might like overwhelm or take away from.
Right, because actually before I used to have to paint every square inch, because that's what you have to do when you're doing a canvas. You can't leave it unpainted.
That's true.
But on paper, you don't have to do that.
I'm just gonna kind of look. I really like the effect though, because okay, this is what is neat about the paper. It has like kind of like this almost water. It's not watercolor, but it almost kind of has a watercolor feel to it. I like it.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks.
cool. Very cool. So I kind of think I'm going to now in this painting of Hurrem Sultan, she didn't have red hair because like it's just somebody's imagined idea of her. And she's wearing like this veil, but I kind of want her hair to show for some reason. That's what I'm thinking. So I might add that later.
Yeah, I remember that I added hair for her too because I felt that it wouldn't be really nearly as romantic unless you could
There's
see
hair.
her.
Yeah. And this is and what we have to remember is this is just someone's imagined like idea. Like the costume is kind of accurate, sort of, but like we don't even know exactly because nobody went in the harem. So I kind of like when you added the hair, I thought that made more sense. Plus, Magnificent Century, like that's a big trademark is for red hair.
Mhm.
In fact, what was I going to say? Her son, who ended up being really. Did you hear about him, Selim, the one that like ended up taking over the throne? He ended up being like a really horrible sultan. His father was amazing. He was like Queen Elizabeth. He reigned for 40 years, and then here comes the son, barely reigned for like 13 because he died of alcoholism, cirrhosis of the
Oh,
liver. Oh boy, he was quite the thing because he was an alcoholic and he didn't even go out like really on battle like his father did. He just was so, I guess he just frolicked in the garden with his quite quite the opposite of his father is all I'm going to say. They said that Behzad, actually the other son, Harem wanted Behzad because he was more noble and he was a warrior. They both were warriors in the beginning, but Salem was just very lazy. He didn't have discipline. Behzad actually would have been a better, well, it's actually kind of a tragic story, really, because when I read about it, and just from the series kind of portrays this too, it's the part that makes me really sad is Madzivaran's son actually probably should have been the heir. He was like the most noble of all of them. I mean, her older son Mehmet was good too, but Mustafa, he was just a very noble person. He was very much like his father, very just. So he was executed because Harem was jealous of him and didn't want him to be the ruler. It's just a very interesting dynamic. But you know, this happened under British monarchy too, beheadings and whatnot. But
oh
it
yeah.
just they were saying though, this was the interesting thing. A lot of people, I mean, we don't know for sure, but they were saying maybe if Mustafa had become the Sultan, that the Ottoman Empire would have continued to be strong. But with the demise, the death of Suleiman the Magnificent, you have this era. This is the interesting thing. This era of women, they called it the Sultanate of Women because the women started like the concubines and that became wives in some cases, other cases they remained concubines. They were basically running the country because after Suleiman, you had like 10-year reigns, and a lot of them died of alcoholism or they just died premature deaths, and the mothers would actually be running the country. It's very interesting, very fascinating.
Yeah. I guess people don't realize that, your mortality really, I mean, if you are an alcoholic, you really limit your lifespan.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. It made me really like actually respect Suleiman the Magnificent though, because when you look at how disciplined and how fair he was, like in stark contrast to his sons, I'm like, it's pretty amazing that he reigned that long and that he was as just as he was. And his reign's very comparable in a lot of ways to Queen Elizabeth. But I feel like people don't give him credit because, once again, a lot of people have this modern interpretation of it that they hate Turkey. Like, I know that sounds weird, but there's some people because of the Greek Turk thing. But the more I research it, find that just to be ridiculous because most people in Western Turkey are Slavic and Greek admixture due to all the slaves coming in. And a lot of the Sultan's wives and concubines were Greek or Russian or Slavic or Balkan. So
you have to understand that this controversy about Greeks and Turks isn't a genetic thing.
it's not a genetic thing. It is a very much a modern political thing. But the
Right.
whole idea of modern Greek nation state also is something that came to fruition in the 1800s. It's not as if Greece was a unified entity. And look at Italy, like they were city states that were waging war against each other. And if you want to know the truth, the Venetians actually were the strongest allies of the Ottomans. Like they had a love-hate relationship, but they were much more allied with each other than the Venetians being allied with other Italian city-states. So I just always think it's interesting to look at the history of everything.
Right. I wish we could just all go back to being city-states, really, because I think a city-state can have a government that is really representative of the people who actually live there.
That's a good point. And I feel like, well, even like the Seem to Love, even though I don't agree with everything he says, it seems like he is like pro city states and local. I kind of like his local emphasis. He
Yes.
was, yeah, he was talking in Lebanon, like he was supporting this one group that was more pro local. I don't know if they won or not. I'd have to go back and see. Like, do you know if they won that election? Did you follow that? And it's the arc of that story when he was supporting that.
No, I don't, but I kind of think they didn't.
I mean, it's too bad because the other people are kind of like corporate and another thing about Lebanon that's really interesting, like a lot of the local entities, they've like pushed to get GMOs banned in the country. They said it's not entirely like banned, but they are far fewer people that are using like GMO crops, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for Thanksgiving, did you guys do anything fun or interesting?
Well, we enjoy the Thanksgiving traditions, but other than that, before Thanksgiving, we went out and we had sushi because that's one of our traditions.
I love it.
And we watched Encanto.
Oh, interesting. Would you recommend seeing that movie, or it was just so average or okay?
It was okay. It had a story, so it's not like without a story, but you know what? It had like a cast of thousands, and the plot was too thin to get to know all of them. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hate stories like that. I guess maybe I do like a plot, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of like character movies where there's more dialogue. Like I love a dialogue driven story. So I don't think I'd like that. I like it when you have a few characters and you get to know them.
Well, there were some nice songs, but the first song was like completely a narrative introduction to the entire dilemma that this family faces. And it was way too much. It was like, oh, introducing this cousin, introducing that cousin. And it was just, okay, this is too much. You should act it out. Show us, don't tell us.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, are they trying? I mean, I could be wrong here. I know musicals have kind of become less produced in the last like few decades, but they're really popular in Bollywood. I feel like are they trying to like create that sort of, or is it just organic, I guess? I feel like they're trying to replicate something that they're doing in Bollywood sometimes, like with the musicals, but I think Bollywood does it better. Sorry.
Well, no, I don't think it was Bollywood. It was an attempt at a Disney musical. Disney's been doing musicals forever.
They have, but it doesn't seem like as many in the last, like it seems like there was a little bit of a gap. Like there would be a few, but let's say in the 1960s, there were far more musicals coming out than like the 70s and the 80s. in the night. Like it just seems like there's been a resurrection of them, so to speak.
Well, the resurrection started with the Little Mermaid, and was that in the 90s or 80s? I think
That was
80s.
actually, yeah, 1989. I guess like the Disney cartoons do have songs. That's true. Maybe I don't
Oh,
watch enough Disney
yeah,
movies.
all the princess movies are musicals. If you don't notice that, it might be because the songs didn't seem like the most important part to you. But people,
Honestly,
yeah,
I don't watch them that much. Sorry. Like I just don't know enough. I'm so sorry.
no, that's okay. I mean, I had a little girl growing up, so it's not just me, but I had to watch it with her and all that. But even before she was born, I had like a music teacher friend, and she dragged me out to see Beauty and the Beast when it first came out. So, and it was good. I'm not saying it's not good, but it was really important to her.
Yeah, that's neat. I mean, and I would say like, that's a fun experience.
Yeah, but no, to me, I was waiting for musicals to come back, not necessarily as Disney movies, but the Disney ones have always pretty much been there.
So they just are there. It just maybe like I mean, I remember watching The Little Mermaid. I guess I don't think about the music as much or the singing. That might be a valid point.
Oh,
I did.
see, all the little girls, even 20 years later, were singing those songs. Look at me, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Okay.
Honestly, okay, what can I tell you about The Little Mermaid? It's the most weird thing that I thought I would try and draw Ariel. That was my one experience with it. So that was all I wanted to do is I wanted to see if I could draw her. So I did for my mom on a birthday card. And I think that was my reaction to it. I guess I didn't love it that much or watch it as much as other people. So
Well, I mean, lots and lots of people, little girls and just people in general, would sing the songs or they would write new lyrics to the songs. It was a big deal.
that's cool though. I mean, that's really neat. I'm kind of ignorant of it, I guess, because I wasn't paying enough attention, I suppose. So to me, since
I
I don't,
don't, yeah. I was a grown up when all that came out, so it's not like I was a little girl when when
no, but you have you have music friends, so I feel like you kind of like
yeah.
musicals, so I feel like you were paying attention. Whereas with me, I'll tell you, I was like 11 and I watched it, but I guess I just wasn't that struck by it. It wasn't like, oh, this is my favorite like show of all time. And I thought, oh, it'd be cool to draw the Little Mermaid because my mom liked Ariel. It wasn't even something that I really liked that much. She just said, oh, I think Ariel's cute, like when we went to Disneyland. So I tried to draw her on a birthday card. And I think I watched it a couple times, but I didn't think about it beyond that. And after that, I didn't think about it again.
Yeah, well, I mean, on my piano, I have a book of Disney music intended for little children to start playing.
That's cool.
Yeah, and when Sword was here, I'm trying to think what she played. She played the Siamese cat song. Do you know that one
I
from?
know, yeah, we are Siamese. You please.
Yeah,
I actually know that. Okay, I like Lady and the Tramp. We are
yeah,
Siamese if you don't please. Okay, I like that one. And after
yeah,
that I like, okay, because Lady and the Tramp, that's kind of something that's nostalgic to me. That touches my heart. Maybe I just
yeah.
was, yeah, The Little Mermaid, maybe I'm just not as excited about that. But I do remember Lady and the Tramp and when they're eating the spaghetti. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And they took when they did a live action version of Lady of the Tramp and the Tramp recently, they took out the Siamese cats because they were afraid that that would be offensive.
Oh, I mean, but here's the thing, like it was called Siam. It's based on an actual story. There were these Siamese twins, and they became so famous because they were on the circus circuit. And the interesting thing about them is they actually ended up marrying these two women in the United States, and they were slave owners. And their descendants are still alive here in the US. And I think one of them might be a local congressional representative, if I remember right. So
Well, the point is what they did in the original Lady and the Tramp is they gave everybody an ethnicity. So, for instance, there was a dog that was a Scotch Terrier, so he was Scottish and he had a Scottish accent.
Yeah, and
The
I like that.
Siamese cats, it wasn't based on, Siamese twins. It was based on the fact
being
that there is
Siamese.
a cat breed
Siamese.
that is called Siamese. They had another dog. It was a hound dog, and he was obviously from the American South, had a Southern accent. So, and then of course the guy who owned the Italian restaurant was obviously Italian.
Yeah, and that's kind of what makes the strike fun. But I guess like in modern society, that's considered offensive or something. I don't know why, but oh well.
Yeah. In fact, they joked that lady who was a spaniel, they called her a Spanish one, because
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Cocker Spain. Yeah, in España.
yeah.
I mean, I like that. I liked it. I mean, I guess nowadays that's considered offensive, so they can't have the characters have an ethnicity, I suppose. But I don't think if it was a Scottish Terrier, I don't think anybody would care, though, would they? Like, is that considered?
No, I think that's the funny thing about it. I think they kept the Scotch Terrier because Scottish people are not going to complain about it.
That's kind of silly, but here's the thing. I think if you ask somebody in Thailand, I like an actual person from Thailand, I don't think they would care either. I think it's like the Americans who think that's offensive because there's that that June channel on YouTube that I watch, and they did an episode about the kimono, and they said people in Japan, like they actually asked people in Japan, and they said Japanese people were not offended if Westerners wore a kimono, but it was Americans who thought that was offensive. You see?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. I think it's an American Western interpretation of that being offensive. But I think if you ask the people in those countries, they might not be offended by that. That's just my take on it,
No, I agree. I think it's not just American, but specific left-wing American take on it.
Yeah, it's a very left-wing American, and honestly, it's just I don't know. It's kind of they take it a bit far, and it's not equal if it's still a Scottish Terrier. But oh well. I mean, I wasn't gonna watch that movie anyway because it seemed like I think it's cute as a cartoon, but I just wasn't sure what it would be like as a live action film. So I was kind of like, Same with the Lion King. I saw the Lion King. Beautiful, beautiful drawing. Like I love the cartoons, and I know there's music in that one too. Although I couldn't tell you.
It is a musical.
Yeah.
And they actually, after the movie came out and it was so successful, they made it a traveling musical where people actually dress up as lions because the songs are so good. Those are really good songs in Lion King.
No, I know people were singing them. I couldn't tell you what the songs were. I just wasn't singing them. I just knew that they sang songs, and I watched it one time. I was like, oh, I like the cartooning and the drawing, and I wasn't paying attention to the song. That's just what I get from it. I'm sorry, I don't have a musical background. Obviously,
I know, but I guess it's really weird. I don't have a musical background, and I can't sing, and I'm not musical, but because I'm a poet, I always pay a lot of attention to songs because they have beautiful words that scan and rhyme and
So I think you have more of a musical background in a way, actually, because you could compose a song and you have. So there you go,
Well, I don't compose. Daniel Carter composes, but I love to write lyrics. So, I mean, even in 101 Dalmatians, one of the things that struck me the strongest was the Cruella de Vil song,
I remember that one. But I would literally just watch these cartoons and I wasn't thinking about the music. I'm just like, oh, I know everybody else was. Like, I knew there were people singing the songs, but I guess it just didn't strike me, or it wasn't my talent. So I just was like, oh, I'm watching it. It's nice. And that was all I got from it.
Yeah, that's okay. It's not like I have musical talent, but I very much like to listen to the Disney songs.
I appreciate you pointing this out to me because I feel kind of like a noob. I'm just like, oh, maybe musicals are coming back in fashion, but I guess I just never really went out of fashion because I wasn't paying attention. I
Well, I mean, they may have gone out of fashion on Broadway, but they never went out of fashion for princess type
movies.
movies for
Yeah.
Disney.
And Mulan, I know, is definitely a musical because there were a couple songs I could not sing them, but I actually kind of like some of the songs in Mulan. Like there were a couple that were pretty good. Did you like
Yeah,
Mulan's music?
yeah, I loved Reflection. Sword used to sing that. Do you know
That's
that one?
I can't sing it. Don't ask me to sing it, but yes, I know the song. I just don't know the
Yeah,
words.
that's okay. You don't have to sing.
My
I'm not
singing
gonna
is
sing it either.
I can sing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It's or very maybe like certain songs I like, but it's very limited.
Yeah, that's okay.
Actually, some people make fun of me because I like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star because it's something that's pretty easy for me to sing and I won't go off key too much. Because sometimes when I start singing, I go way off key and I'm like, oh gosh, there's so many good singers in the world. Like that's when Leslie, I really love Leslie, but I don't want to perform when she's there. I want them to perform. I like to just
That's
watch
okay. You don't have to.
because I don't
Funny
want.
thing about it is if she tempts me, I will, but then that will hurt her ears. Okay.
But I actually think you sing okay. We're just not the stars of. We're not professional singers. That's all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But I like that you attempt to do it and you are a lyricist. So to me, I think that's pretty cool. But we just wouldn't do it with Leslie. And the drum thing, I'm like, I don't think I would keep a very good beat. I think she would be kind of like, what is this? Like a kindergartner trying to play a drum, which a kindergartner would do it better than me. So I'm just saying that's not my forte. Also, just things for her to sing. I really like that one, Better Than Who. Is that what that one's called?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's become one of my favorite songs. Like I would just love to have that on a track and play it because the lyrics
Oh,
are so good. I should listen to the video. I could just play the video over and over.
no, that's okay. I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say you can probably buy it if you want to.
That's true. I probably could buy it. That's a good point.
Yeah, she is published. She has published music and you can buy it. And I think she is so humble that she's not working hard to sell it to you at all. She doesn't even remember which album, each song goes on or anything like that. She was asking me that,
That's cool.
because she just loves to perform it. And I love the fact that she's happy to do it and she
Yeah,
doesn't have any questions about it.
like she doesn't say, "Oh my gosh, I can't perform because like." But I love it because I feel like the people who just truly love singing and are talented at it, they just do it. Like she's like a true folk singer. She really
She
is.
is. She is.
She's the
Definitely.
real legit thing. Like she's the best. She's the best musician that's been on the channel,
Yes.
in my opinion. Like she's very good.
Yes, she is. So, I didn't hear back from her yet about our next film thing. I sent her an email to remind her, but it's kind of hard to get a hold of her sometimes.
It is, but I always feel like I love like when she says, "Oh, what happened?" Like I just love her explanations and what she was up to. Like she lives such an interesting life. So I'm just like, wow, she's always doing things, and she is older, but she's so vibrant. Like she's more vibrant than people like a quarter of her age. It's just I love it. And she's like, I get energy from singing because I'm like, Leslie, how do you stay up so late and do all this? And she's like, she just is like full of energy. Like you can't stop her. I love it.
Yeah, I love that too.
Have you ever done a cover of like some of the Disney songs? Like, is that something you would feel comfortable singing, like, or not so much?
I'm not very me. No.
Yeah, yeah. Or just attempting. I don't know. I was just thinking. I know.
I mean, I have songs that I've adapted from folk tunes.
Mhm.
Um, and some of them are in the right range for me because actually I don't have much of a range. In singing, there's where you start and where you finish, but also how many octaves can you sing? And like for instance, sword, had a pretty good range of about 6 octaves,
Wow, that's pretty good.
and starts out as soprano. And, I am not a soprano. I think I would be more like a contralto. And I have like only 2 octaves,
I
so
totally understand. Um,
yeah,
when
my voice, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say in elementary school we had choir, and the teacher got mad at me because I couldn't sing louder or
Oh,
higher, and would
louder
single
and
me out.
higher. Okay, those are two different things, Julia.
Yeah, yeah.
Higher frequency is one thing, and louder is something completely different.
Well, maybe she meant the higher frequency, I think, is what she was saying. But she used to get mad at just me than everybody else. Like she would come and say, "You didn't like reach this level," and I was like, "Oh,
Uh,
okay."
okay, yeah. I can't sing very high. I couldn't even when I was younger. And now that I'm older, my voice has gotten a little bit lower than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens.
Mm-hmm. I just thought like it would be interesting if I know you might know. If you were interested, it would be kind of cool to see a video with you singing again, because I know you sing sometimes.
Yeah,
Because
I
you like.
can sing sometimes, but people who are really musical don't want to hear that kind of off-key singing.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, well, I'll be honest, like I do not have a range of much at all. And I think Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is my speed. That's about it. Or some songs I like, but nobody wants to hear that. It sounds really bad because I played myself back singing a song I like one time. I was like, oh no, nobody would ever want to hear that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also kind of dangerous. Sometimes somebody will encourage me and I'll think, oh, I got better. And then somebody else is more honest and they'll say, could you please just stop?
Aw. The one thing I do wish though, and maybe this is just me thinking that people should be able to post what they want. I just feel like if you want to sing or you want to do anything you want and you post a video about it, like I don't think it's somebody's place to say, oh, that wasn't the best thing I've ever heard or seen. I think it's just your place to like maybe express yourself creatively, and you're not claiming to be the best or anything. Like, so I kind of wish sometimes, like, yes, that's honest, but they didn't have to listen to it or watch it if it offends them in any way. So I don't know if
Well,
that's.
what I'm talking about is going to a folk sing. So I used to go to folk sings and I knew I wasn't very good, but there were times when I did do some singing, and I'll tell you why. Because I couldn't get any of the good singers to sing my songs. And I wanted somebody to sing my song.
Yeah, exactly. So you had to do it basically, right?
Right. And it wasn't because I had any kind of claim to fame as a singer. But then there were some kind of aggressive people at those folk things. And they would say, Aya, don't you think you're being a little bit self-indulgent?
Okay. It's supposed to be a fun event. I didn't know that. I don't like that at all. Okay, maybe you guys are being, I'm going to be honest with you, maybe you guys are being self-indulgent because look, you tried, right? To get
Yeah.
other better singers to sing the song. So this is kind of probably what I would almost, I mean, you can't really say that to those people, but I'd be like, well, if you can sing it better, why don't you sing my song? Like, I think I would almost say, but they probably wouldn't. So they,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like, well, okay, like you tried. That's another thing too. I'm like, well, maybe they're being self-indulgent because they're okay. I can give you another example, like just online where there were these people that were mad that people were posting art that they didn't think was up to like Picasso standards, not Picasso, but no, Picasso's not my favorite. Let's think of like, I don't know, Renoir, someone like really good. But they said that people shouldn't post their art online because they're embarrassed by their art and most of it's rubbish and they only liked a few things that they ever made. And they were like, how dare these people post art online that is not up to my standards? Like, who do they think they are? And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Like, they were just doing it because they're having fun and it's supposed to be like self-expression. Not everything people post online is like, oh my God, I think I'm the best at it. So I just think that's a little self-indulgent on their part to be like offended that somebody just tried to perform something, especially when you had already asked other people to decline. So maybe that's
Yeah.
my take on it.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Leslie is not like those people. She's very encouraging. She's
She's a
always
real,
been very encouraging.
because she's a real folk singer, and these people, maybe they're posers. Like honestly, I think if somebody's that like harsh, maybe they're kind of a poser and they're not as talented as her, you know?
Yeah, I think so.
Because an actual music teacher, they're gonna be aware, okay, that when they have a music class, there's gonna be a range of abilities, and they're gonna know not everybody's gonna be the star singer, musician, whatnot. They're not gonna like get down on that one student, like, oh my gosh, like you can't play in this class because you're not as talented as this person. So I don't know.
Well, actually, I was when I was in fifth grade in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We had a nice music teacher. I do not dislike her. I don't think she was a bad person at all. She was nice. She actually introduced me to My Fair Lady, and she took the whole class.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
like
and
my favorite.
yeah, and her husband was in it, um, and so she actually took a few of us to see it a second time at the dress rehearsal. So anyway, what I'm saying is she was a nice person. I'm not saying this to be mean about her, but she definitely asked me that when we went to perform, outside the school, not in class, but outside the school, we were performing in a sort of semi-competitive place. She
Mhm.
asked me to just mouth the lyrics and not actually sing.
Oh wow.
She
Okay.
wanted it to be good. And I'm not mad about that. I understood. I
Yeah,
was a
I mean, I get that. I mean, okay, like I guess in like a competitive forum, I'm just thinking like in a class. So maybe some people are very like competitive at a folk sing, so they just think like only those who can sing the best should perform. Is that kind of like their mentality?
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, it was never about my performance. It was about my song. So
Exactly. It's the content. It's like it's what you wrote. Like you wanted to share some music. So I think it's cool that Leslie Fish is open to performing songs. Like has she's performed some of your songs, right? Like has
oh
she?
yeah, she
That's
has.
what I thought. That's what I thought. I'm sorry if I don't know all your songs, but like I look forward to our future folk sings where we can highlight that. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah. I also need to recruit some male singers to sing some of my songs because some of them are just not appropriate for a female singer. But
Have we thought about asking people like it might be interesting, like people outside of English speaking countries? Like, is there a folk movement in some other countries with people where they might have some of their own like folk type songs that are influenced by their
I'm
culture?
not aware of it in countries that are not English speaking. Of course, in Australia, which is an English speaking country, there are. And in England, there are. And I imagine there must be some in India, which is also an English speaking country.
That's true. That would be really interesting. So I'm sure like you will, well, maybe is there, so you're still looking for the person is what you're saying that you would like to ask?
Well, yeah, for my musical, I still have that song that got turned down by this certain person. And I thought I would ask this other person that I know who is a good performer and singer and even a songwriter. And he told me he could not read sheet music. So that was a problem.
Hmm. Well, it's a great endeavor. I'm sure you can find somebody eventually.
Oh, well, eventually. But
I mean,
yeah, you know how
isn't
many
that
years I've been at this?
you've been
It's,
at it for a few years? I know, I know.
yeah. But yeah, I never give up, you know, I never give up. So
That's
someday,
good. And the thing about the musical is it will be like your legacy, these books and these musicals. I think that's pretty amazing.
well, the thing is, not everything survives. And I've seen so many people die that where, I know that they have made contributions, but I don't know that their contributions are going to be, you know, are going to live on. It's just not sure.
I understand. Well, I mean, I anticipate to live a little bit longer. I mean, I hope so anyway. So if we ever wanted to upload some things to my channel, like we can do that too, you know. I
I
don't know.
appreciate it.
We can
Yeah.
definitely do that. We can do some stuff like that there on my channel. So, you know, we'll know that it's there. Like I don't plan on, I mean, God, you know, I hope I live a long time, you know.
Well, I hope so too. And you are a lot younger than me. So yeah, that would be nice. Yes.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I would, because you know, like I like what I'm kind of doing with my other channel is I'm just posting things that I think are interesting or just fun or just at various topics. It's just kind of a variety channel, maybe.
Mhm.
Whereas, so I mean, that's kind of my take on it. So
Yeah.
I can't do a niche. Like I thought, well, I have one niche, but it kind of bores me because it's not that exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, people think that I have a niche in grooming, but that's not my niche.
No, it's not. They just said that it was. But I actually started that second channel, like the hair channel, as being kind of just about hair. But this is where, okay, recently it just seems like now, like you either are into like either modeling hair, like in some weird way that I'm not into it, or you have to be very pro tutorial. Like, or you have to go and make videos where you say that you hate like social media and it's like making everybody be depressed and like, and I kind of thought that was interesting. I don't know. It just seems like those are the only options in the hair world. And so I don't know.
Oh, I noticed some artists were saying on YouTube, which is social media actually, but they were
Yes, it's
saying
social media. Yeah.
but they were saying that they were no longer going to post their art on social media because it takes away from the value of their art and they're doing everything for free and they want people to come and buy their art and so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to get down on people saying those things, but I just think it's kind of strange. Okay, you go on YouTube, which is social media, it's a part of the internet, and you're saying, well, I don't like this site, and this site is making everybody depressed. But the thing is, I've used Instagram and I've never been like depressed. And I mean, I know, like in my video, I talked about the reasons I understand a lot of people don't like TikTok. I really understand that, but I don't look at all the weird content there. And there's some weird content on YouTube too. Like a lot of the stuff that's on TikTok's now on YouTube as shorts. So I don't really think there's a big difference. So that was just my take on it. I don't
Yeah.
look at that the topics. If the topic is weird, I just pass on. I don't spend hours like going down a rabbit hole looking at like people buying like luxury cars and being like, oh my God, I can't buy that luxury car. Or like
Yeah,
I don't
that doesn't bother me at all. Uh, the thing, I do have certain second thoughts about TikTok, but that's just because
it's
they're
it's a
pro
security.
China to, that they basically promote pro China things and they demote things that talk about what China's been actually doing.
They do. I mean, they do that. That's true. The only thing I will say, that's interesting about TikTok, even though they do that, the one thing my sister said that was interesting is on TikTok, up until recently, you could kind of talk about why you weren't being vaccinated a little bit more than on YouTube, where they would kind of demonetize you or shadow ban you. Like there was a little bit, but then again, it's still political because they're not saying what happened in China with TikTok. So I did mention that in the video. I noticed like there was this trend recently on social media. People are going on and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm off Instagram now and I'm off Facebook and oh my God.
They were doing this about Facebook for years. We have friends, you and I both, who
Yes.
every so often they'll say, "I'm that's it. I'm leaving. Huff and puff. I'm out of here," and then they come back.
Yes, they come back. And that was even in Hub Pages Daily. People are like, oh, I am leaving Hub Pages because Hub Pages is a corporation and blah, 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 blah. And then 3 months later, they're back writing Hubs. And I was like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know if people do that, I totally get it. Maybe it's just me. Like, I was just kind of like, I know people do that.
I don't know. But it seemed like people really like those videos, and I was just like, okay, that's
They
good.
like it, that obviously there's a market for videos that say that you're leaving social media, even if you're gonna come back or you're not really leaving.
It's kind of like those spilling the tea videos. Like, I don't hate all of those, like, but I kind of made a parody of one actually, because that's a new trend too. Like, it probably doesn't show up in your feed, but for some reason my feed decided that I love like spilling the tea videos. So I was just I kind of did a parody of it. It wasn't even like spilling the tea, it was just my own opinion. But I just put that in the description just to see like if I would get traffic or not. I don't know. I just kind of have these like, maybe I have a weird sense of humor, because I was like, I just get tired of those videos because they're like, it's like some sort of gossip hit piece or something. I was like, okay.
I don't see those. All they try to sell me is, people with their newborn babies that can already talk or something.
I just don't know what I was looking at that made the algorithm think that I wanted to see that, because I didn't like go look up videos or exposés or anything like that. It's just kind of weird. I just don't understand where it came from. Some of the things I get recommended.
Well, maybe it's because you're in the vegan community and
Oh, yes. Yes, that's a big thing right now. Like, I'm no longer vegan video and I'm going to expose it. And I'm like, but okay, I know you're not vegan. I know that you're carnivore, but this is where I have a problem with that was, okay, 4 years ago, those people were harassing businesses and I never did that. Some of those people went into steakhouses and they were protesting with signs and they were like chanting at people eating there that were just having a dinner. And I thought that, and I said at the time, I said, isn't that kind of like really bullying people? And they would be like, no, it's not. Like, we need to spread the message in the world. And I said, I think you're bullying people. Like, that's what I said. Like, I didn't say it on all the videos, but when I saw videos like that, so all of a sudden, people who did stuff like that are now going on social media and saying, oh no, like, it's a bad diet, it made me sick, blah, blah, blah. But yet 4 years ago, they were harassing people that eat what they eat now. So I'm like, I don't get it. Like, so you're mad. It's like you were so irrational 4 years ago, but now like all of a sudden it's okay to do what you were criticizing people for doing. It's just weird to me, but whatever.
yeah, well, that's how a lot of people are. They do whatever happens to be fashionable at that moment, and they pretend that you're smart if you change your mind at exactly the same moment as everybody else.
Interesting. Yeah, it's called following the trends. So that's all it is. But I'm probably just talking too much, I guess, about that. It's not that newsworthy, but I think that's why it probably shows up on my feed. I like your painting though.
Thank you. I think that's as far as I'm going to go with that one. I feel pretty comfortable with how it turned.
Well, I didn't really add much. I'm just adding more details to like her crown. I guess you could call it a crown because she did actually have a crown like that. It kind of went up high. And they actually talk about it in the series a little bit. Like she has the crown and she wears it. And this later replicated in several paintings. And I thought it was funny because in Cosm, like you'll see some of the crowns she had, although there's a controversy because everybody said this ring that was on the first Magnificent Century really was a real ring. And Nebenu, one of the concubines for her son, stole the ring, and later on another sultana is wearing it. But somebody said recently, that ring was just made up for the show because there was a Turkish jewelry maker that wanted to promote their jewelry on the series.
Yeah, a lot of shows are in fact pitching something. So I can well believe that. Do we have any comments? Because
let me go look and see, actually. Let me check. Because I hadn't been looking. I'm going to check real fast, okay?
Okay.
Let's see. Look. I don't see anybody commenting, but I'm sure hopefully somebody can leave their thoughts and reactions after this has processed.
Okay, all right. So I'm pretty much done with my painting. Okay. This is what it looks like next to my face.
It looks nice. I really like how it turned out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that a rose or an apple next to her?
It's a rose.
I love it.
I'm,
Very nice. Yeah.
I'm not that good at flowers, but I thought I'd just go ahead and do that because there was one, you know.
I
And
actually like it because it kind of, I mean, it looks like a rose, but you could also say it's kind of impressionistic and it has like that French type of
uh,
style painting. I like it.
thank you. Thank you. So this is fun for me, and it's no tragedy if she doesn't look exactly like the model, because you know what? I'm not being paid by that model to paint her.
No. And that's actually what art is about. Like they say, like the more you draw, the more you paint, and just like get different practice, like it improves your skills. So it's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. So this way, you know, it's one of the things in this particular sketchbook. Some of the other things are ink drawings in the sketchbook. And years from now, if I'm still around, I can leaf through the book and look at all the pictures I made. And if I have grandchildren, I can let them look at it. So,
See, that's really neat. And another thing I was going to say is I have seen an improvement in your painting, your portrait style since like, I mean, I like the illustration on F, but I'm going to say I think your illustration skills have like actually improved like quite a bit since then. Like if you notice.
I thought they did, and then I tried to paint my mother, and then I realized it was like taking a step back. So I don't know exactly what's going on with my art right now. I'm not quitting it or anything, but
Okay.
I'm gonna just sharpen my abilities before I go back to painting a real person.
Okay, well, I want you like this is also my thought on it. You might have just felt too close to that. I feel like if there's a lot of pressure and it's like a family member and you want it to look exact, like that might be too much pressure with that particular painting. So maybe it's okay to like say I'm going to paint people I don't know as much or people that aren't going to be like make me feel like much anxiety about it if that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, but I wanted to say that I'm really excited about the fact that you put my painting of you in your Zazzle shop. That really made
Yeah.
me.
It's really it's a good painting. I really like it. I think it looks like me. My friend Jennifer said she really liked it. So I've had some people say they really appreciate it.
I'm so glad to hear that. That really did cheer me up a lot.
Yeah, and I did promote it in that video and I'm hoping to like maybe add more things to that shop. So I'm hoping maybe this is going to be a good way to promote that piece of art and more art.
Well, I look forward to finding out how that works out.
Yeah, definitely. So I think this was kind of fun and productive. I'm not as quick as you, but I had fun doing this.
Yeah, well, it looks like you made progress too, and we can do this again very
Yeah.
soon.
Well, the thing I did that I figured something out what I wanted to do with her crown. So that was a good thought. Like this gave me some time to think about it. So I am very happy that I was able to do that.
Okay, very good. So you have a wonderful rest of the day, Julia.
You too. Bye, Aya.
Bye-bye.